Alright, welcome back everyone. Here with another replay cast, playing as the Greenskins. This is going to be my last matchup as the Greenskins. So for me, I've got Azhag the Slaughter as my lord. 4 squads of Savage Orcs, all with max chevrons on them. 2 squads of Black Orcs with 1 chevron, and the Crimson Killers, so the regiments of renowned Black Orcs. My opponent is also the Greenskins, and just as with the Wood Elves matchup that I showed, I would not be showing this mirror matchup unless it was a good match. My opponent has got 5 squads of Orc Boys, squad of Night Goblins, Stone Trolls on the flank, Doom Diver Catapults, Night Goblin Archers, a Black Orc Big Boss, and Azhag the Slaughter as well. Summoning in some Night Goblins, and let's get the approach going. So you can see I brought mostly, I want to say elite troops, but I brought a lot of troops with experience. So Doom Diver Catapult doing some damage on the approach, Savage Orcs charging into Orc Boys. That's going to be the main front line going on. Spirit Leech coming down on my Azhag, so he's going to be casting a lot of that throughout the match, you'll see. Black Orcs keeping in the back, going to kind of buffer as my Savage Orcs get worn down. Stone Trolls jumping on top of Azhag, and he's taking a good amount of damage up front from the Spirit Leech and the Troll Charge. So I've got some River Trolls of my own with max chevrons on them, and Savage Orcs locking up with some Night Goblins on the flank. So my Savage Orcs are going to win that, especially with the experience they've got on them. He's bringing in some Orc Boar Boy Biggins as well, some mobile support. Crimson Killers coming in to fill the gap as the Savage Orcs are getting chased off. They're taking a lot of the arrow fire. They took some Doom Diver Catapult shots on the way in, and took the combat from their lord as well. So my Azhag is looking to retreat. I wanted to get out of that mob of Stone Trolls. River Trolls are in there, getting their little debuff. They do have the Overwhelming Odor, so they decrease the melee attack of any enemies within, I think, a 35 range, which is pretty good. Orc Boar Chariots charging around, and as soon as I saw those chariots come out, I knew that that was going to be a little bit of a problem. I had mostly infantry on the field, so I wanted to get some troops with mass on the field. So you can see I brought in River Trolls, brought in more River Trolls. Actually, in hindsight, stacking troops like this isn't necessary. Like, if you can spread them out and have them fighting on different parts of the battlefield, that's better because of being able to utilize their debuff on different parts of the front line. So looking to slow down these Orc Boar Chariots. You can see my opponent brought those Boar Boys, and it looks like the Night Goblins have mostly been dealt away with. He's got another squad of Night Goblins on the way in reinforcements. I can't see them coming because they have the stalk ability. But I still got point 1 under my control. They're not able to get the capture rate over there. He does have point 3, as is tradition on this map. It's usually, you know, both people are charging into point 2. Each guy's holding on to one flank. Although he is contesting point 1 for me, and I'm not contesting point 3. But the middle is going all right for me. You can see my lord is taking a pretty good amount of damage. His Azhag has kind of wandered into my backfield, and I'm looking to get on top of him with my River Trolls. And so both of his lord and hero are facing up against my River Trolls, and that's not a matchup he wants to take. One of my Savage Orcs over pursued. I think I had them chasing after the Night Goblin Archers and ended up getting too far in the backfield, so they're going to get taken out by these Stone Trolls, the Boars, and maybe some missile fire from the Night Goblins. Yep, taking that poison debuff, so it's going to take down their, decrease their combat efficiency. But on the bright side, again, I got the surround with the Trolls on top of their 2 Lord and Hero. Crimson Killers doing away with these Orc Boys, and I'm keeping the capture weight on top of point 2. And it looks like he had that in the beginning because he is ahead in victory points right now. That's going to be swinging in my favor. Another Spirit Leech going down on my Azhag, and you can see he's looking to get his Black Orc Big Boss on top of Azhag. This guy doesn't have too much armor piercing value, but Azhag doesn't have a crazy amount of armor, so he can still put out some damage on him, especially when he's got 65 attack. He's also getting armor and melee defense buff from their Azhag, popping his I could have just read it on the icon. Azhag's armor. So now I'm just trying to keep my lord on the point, get some capture weight, and keep him out of an engagement. No reinforcements coming in at the moment. You can see these boars coming around the flank, and as soon as I saw them, I started running with my lord. because I figured that was going to be a problem. Now I've got trolls coming over here to reinforce my my savage orcs. I had squig hoppers go over there as well, but they're getting chased off. Savage orcs are getting chased off. And at this point, I decided to turn around with the trolls. Because of the trolls' leadership, you really want to have them with some kind of support. And I mean, it literally is moral support, because if they're fighting by themselves and they start losing even a little bit, they're going to run off the field. I also wanted them to be able to help out in my backfield with Azhag, and they're decently fast. They got 54 speed. They're not cavalry by any means, but they're going to move quicker than some kind of infantry. You can see these orc boar chariots. Actually, I didn't even realize they brought in regiments of renowned pump wagons. So chariots and pump wagons doing some damage to my infantry corps. Luckily, I had the river trolls to slow them down a little bit. But let's see what else do these guys do. So they've got a pretty intense charge, and they do have an explosive that they can pop off. So that's interesting. Really good anti-infantry piece that I have not used yet as the Greenskins. So you can see I was able to bring in some savage orcs and help out Azhag in the backfield, get those boars off of him. Trolls were on the way to assist, but didn't quite get there in time. My opponent has got chariots and more boar boys on the way, so we're gonna have to deal with that. And again, my Azhag is down to 738 health. It looks like we were just able to take out theirs. I had him surrounded with those river trolls, so took out their lord, and now you can see, that must have just happened right before I looked over in this area. You can see the mass rout going on for my opponent. A lot of white flags going up in the air. So at this point, I'm playing Protect the Lord. So I got trolls over here, cavalry charging in. Nothing coming over the hillside at this point. My opponent was able to chase me off at point 1, although I still control it. You can see the it's showing in that dark pink, which is going to be my flag or my color for this match. And now I got chariots coming after Azhag, and that is a problem because these guys can book it, and my savage orcs don't have the mass. I kind of brought these guys in desperation to try to slow these guys down, but they don't have the mass to really stop the chariots from charging through. So looks like I dropped a soul blight on them, trying to get some damage off and just trying to decrease their damage output so that Azhag doesn't get taken out. Still able to win over here. Black orcs taking out the orc boys, river trolls getting in there as well. And at this point, my troops have mostly been pushed off of point 2, so anything I have on their side is fleeing. Anything I have on my side is basically trying to protect my lord, and that's basically what's going on. So my opponent's got a lot of guys in the backfield that are somewhat healthy. He's got black orcs. His Doomdiver catapult is just about out of ammunition. Night Goblin archers are almost out of ammunition. Another squad of black orcs that are fully fresh. His lord is still gone. I'm a little bit ahead in gold value, a little bit ahead in victory points. But now I've got guys sitting on point 2. My savage orcs did end up getting chased off, so they're going to get the capture weight on there. There was still a little bit of a melee going on in the backfield because my savage orcs hadn't fled completely off the field. They were sitting on the back of this hillside, kind of in the trees. So I did get another engagement, but just the lack of morale ended up being a problem. And one thing that I actually missed, I'm not sure if anyone saw it while I was explaining that, these chariots literally snowplowed my lord off the field. So he was probably going to die eventually anyways, but there's this weird mechanic. I don't know if my opponent was like spamming attack on him or if it was just an attack animation or a charge animation glitch. Their chariot pushed Azhag from like this area all the way off the field, and like I was spam clicking off to the sides trying to make sure that he didn't get charged like that, but I literally could not do anything about it. I'm not sure if there's a different angle you need to click at, but I was going perpendicular to the charge, and it was not helping. So lost my lord. He was probably going to die anyway, so I wasn't going to get pressed over the glitch taking him off the field. And honestly, it was better than him dying. So the leadership debuff is not as bad. You can see it says Lord fled recently as opposed to Lord died or whatever it says when the Lord goes down. But my opponent has re-brought their Azhag onto the field. They re-summoned him, and my squig hoppers were able to take point 1 back. My opponent is trying to wrestle for point 2. You can see the down arrow means that the opponent's starting to take it, even though it's kind of, the red on it almost looks like it's going in my favor. You'll see the green is starting to fill up a little bit there. Savage orcs and trolls trying to slow down these orc board chariots. I really wanted my trolls to be or I should say I needed them to be the tool that I used to slow down their mass. And the chariots were the main thing that were keeping me distracted. Black Orcs getting on here. Now when I saw the 2 squads of Black Orcs coming from my opponent, I knew that I needed to get some armor piercing damage on them. So trolls, river trolls, squig hoppers is what I'm trying to counter them with. My Savage Orcs are not going to be able to output much damage against them. And so now they've got the elite infantry on the point, and I'm struggling to handle that. Luckily, one squad is down to about half health, about half model count as well. I want to say they start with 120. Savage Orcs coming around to do some flanking, so at least they'll deal with leadership. Black Orcs pretty beat up, but charging in on the point, see if they can provide some support. And right now, it is just a big mess of trolls and greenskins all smashing each other on the point. Kind of hard to tell who's on whose side, but that is one of the things that makes mirror matches the least cinematic of matchups, but at least we got the flags to tell us what's going on. So my opponent, his Doom Diver Catapult is completely out of ammunition. He's got some Orc Boys coming in reinforcement. I was able to bring my Lord back on. You can see it looks like he already got a Spirit Leech off on my Azhag. Trying to get on top of him with the trolls. That's really going to be a big theme of the matchup. Is me trying to get on top of his Lord with my trolls, him spamming Spirit Leech on my guy, me using Soul Blight on the blob fights and trying to debuff his troops to give me better trades. You can see I'm a little bit ahead. It's very, very neck and neck on the gold value. I am ahead by quite a bit on victory points. My opponent's trying to get some capture rate on point 1. I was able to chase off some of the Night Goblins with Squig Hoppers on this backfield in case I missed that with the camera. But more Squig Hoppers coming on and trying to take out the Black Orcs with them. Again, these guys aren't anti-infantry, they are armor piercing, and I actually forgot that they do poison, so they're going to be doing really good against Black Orcs, taking down some of their combat efficiency with the poison and punching through that armor. Chariots still riding around, just being a nightmare for me. Savage Orcs fleeing, I'm probably going to end up unsummoning them in a little bit. I did a better job of that from what I recall during the match of unsummoning troops. So I've got the capture weight on point 2, Azhag versus Azhag. It's kind of funny. I think this is the first time I've ever had a Lord matchup where it's the same Lord on both sides. And we literally brought the same abilities as each other. So we both brought Soul Blight and Spirit Leech. We both brought the armor and whatever else. There might have been maybe one thing different, but I think we both brought the exact same Lord. Which is like, what are the chances? I'm not sure if Azhag is a popular choice in this kind of matchup, in a mirror matchup for Greenskins, but either way, kind of funny. Trolls coming on the field to intercept the orc chariots that were chasing down my other trolls. That's kind of a thing that I've been learning is if you have an enemy chasing your troops into the backfield, sometimes you can wait until they're just close to the reinforcement point and then bring troops on, summon some reinforcements on and run right into them, and they don't have a chance to react to that, especially if there's a lot else going on the field. So Orc Boys, a lot of them charging in for my opponent. My Savage Orcs are tied up with another squad of Orc Boys in the backfield. Trying to get his Night Goblin archers in here. They'll give some poison debuff, which is going to be useful for them. My Lord has slightly more health than theirs. His Black Orcs have been chased off the field at this point, and now he's just got a mess load of Orc Boys. He is taking the capture weight in his favor. Him getting these Doom Diver Catapults on here is actually helping. I wonder if it would have made sense for him to unsummon these guys and bring someone else on the field, or if it was a good play for him to just run these guys straight in. But either way, he's got the capture weight on point 2. He was able to capture point 1 as well. I'm chasing his Lord away, which is good for me, because if I can get him, then I'm going to get another one of those leadership cracks, and you'll see a bunch more white flags coming up like we saw earlier in the matchup. Now at this point, my opponent has a triple cap, and I'm like, shoot, I just need 1 point, maybe 2 to swing this in my favor and win on victory points. But I need capture weight to do so. So I brought in 2 squads of Savage Orcs. So this is one thing to pay attention to. When you're in a situation like this, I'm starting to get the capture weight. Some of my troops have attack commands, and you see the white flags going up because their Lord is fleeing. Some of my troops have attack commands on enemies that are running away. Like these river trolls are trying to get on top of Azhag. So they're leaving the point. And now you see the capture weight's going to be wobbling. And again, my opponent has both flanks, so I need to get on top of this point. I'm starting to swing it in my favor, Now it's going back, And this is going to be a real close end to the match because you see the victory points are so close. Got to use some mobility here and get on one of the flanks and just deal with all of the orc boys that he's got on here. So he's getting a lot of capture weight, and I think he knows what's going on. He's sending troops just desperately into the middle, and right now it's under my control, so I got that back. Azhag's on the back of the point, just trying to keep out of combat with troops like this. You can see he knows that Azhag's pretty weak, and if he can take care of my lord, then he's going to debuff my troops and maybe get some of them off the point. So he's got stone trolls chasing down Azhag. I'm trying to counter that by bringing my trolls on. I actually realized I thought that stone trolls had physical resist, but they actually have spell resist. So my trolls are getting on top of theirs. They're going to trade decently well. In fact, I think these trolls, standard trolls, have better stats. I don't know if that's because of all the chevrons I put on them or what, but Chair's coming in to support. Looks like, I can't tell if he's dropping a soul blight. Looks like he's dropping a soul blight on me. So I'm bringing my Azhag back to try to help out and save these trolls so I can push forward. But unfortunately for me, my opponent has captured this point. You can see I don't have too many assets left on the field. I don't have, all of these squig hoppers are on the way. I don't have too much capture weight. You know, I got savage orcs, both are somewhat beaten up. River trolls, and squig hoppers, but none of them are in significant numbers sitting on point 2. 1 and 3 are still to my opponent, and he just passed me in victory points. So I'm going to fast forward to the end here because if you can't tell, this is far over, and I think I conceded at some point there. I can't remember if I wasn't looking at the points on the top, but I knew what was going on at the end. So well played to my opponent. I was so far ahead on victory points. I should have sealed that, but I didn't do a good job of making sure that I had enough guys on both points and keeping them on the points for the capture weight. I was too focused on getting good trades because of how close I saw that was going. So my opponent took advantage of that, and fair play to him. So Azhag did not so great. I think part of it, and you might look at this and see 2,000 value, but he was resummoned, so that's like, I don't know, probably like 4,000 something worth of cost between him starting and then getting resummoned in. Black Orcs did not do as well as I would have hoped. They actually did pretty poorly. Savage Orcs did alright. Not sure how much they cost with all the chevrons. When I'm evaluating these, and the river trolls did really good. My trolls did decent. I think the trolls and the squig hoppers pulled most of the weight. I didn't get the rogue eidolon. I wonder if saving up for him would have been a good idea. I'm not sure. For my opponent, their Azhag did pretty well, but same kind of story. He resummoned him. So I don't think either of us performed too well with our lords. Big Boss didn't do great. Stone Trolls did alright. Doom Diver Catapult put in a ton of work. I think this thing costs 1,000, so 250% return for that. That's pretty incredible. Orc Boys actually did pretty well. I'm surprised how well they traded. I was convinced that Savage Orcs were going to trade it really well against standard Orc infantry, and maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe that's because of their lack of armor. I'm not sure if you need to stack them up with some kind of a buffering troop like goblins or something. Pump wagons. Oh, this is the chariots. The chariots did alright. They actually didn't do as much damage as I would have thought. Same thing with the pump wagons. Maybe he needed to do more cycle charging, and I was just getting distracted by these guys chasing down my lord and thought they were putting in some work just because I was stressing over them. But anyways, it was a good matchup. Again, mirror matches aren't always the funnest, but for me, that was a really enjoyable match. It was very close. Although my opponent came back and won, I had a good old time, and I was having some more fun. Playing around with putting chevrons on these guys and seeing what experience does for troops and how much value you get out of them for how much you're putting into them. So for the trolls, it definitely paid off, I would say, especially the river trolls. They were really pulling some weight. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.